What in the world is wrong with Auburn baseball? Let's talk about it on today's episode of the Uptempo Podcast.
You are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
What is up, Auburn family? What is up, Uptempo family? It is a Thursday morning. I'm your guy, Blake Lane, here to talk a little Auburn baseball. 18-14 on the year and 2-10 in the Southeastern Conference. It's been a struggle. We lose to Alabama State in the midweek, 3-2. First loss in the midweek all year. It seems like the energy has just left this baseball team. I don't know where to start. What is wrong with Auburn baseball? That's the topic we're here to discuss today. Let's start with the Tennessee series. I would really like to start there because you come out and I say the series is on the line and people want to get at me when I say that because of your record at the time in the Southeastern Conference was 1-8. And so I say, hey, the season's on the line. You can't go 1-11 in the SEC. You can't go 2-10 in the SEC. You really need to get this thing to 3-9 and then take 2 out of 3 from Kentucky, beat Alabama State in the midweek so you can be sitting at 5-10 in the SEC just like you were last year, and you're still perfect in the midweek, right? That's not a lot to ask. So you come out that Friday night against Tennessee and you fight back and you win a game, 9-5 I believe it was. You fight back and you win a game and you got all the momentum. You got all the momentum going in to the next two. All you got to do is win one of the next two. One of the next two. You're sitting at 2-8 in SEC play. You got all the momentum. You got Connor McBride going in game 2. And then all of a sudden, folks, we just don't show up. We just don't show up. We get beat in 7 innings in game 2 and in game 3. We give up 31 runs in the next 2 games. 31 runs. Give up 5 in game 1. You give up 31 in the next 2. And we sit here, we want to talk about pitching. Coach Teford, I don't know how we've gotten worse. I don't know how each pitcher on this staff has gotten worse. We have regressed from last year. We thought last year and Coach Rock was bad. We've gotten worse. Every guy. Besides maybe John Armstrong. But then again, we can look back at the Texas A&M series and we can say, hey, why'd you leave him in there so long? So, I don't know what's going on with the pitching staff. I really don't. I don't know if we're trusting guys and the guys that we should be trusting aren't getting enough innings, or we got too much confidence in this guy and he's not producing, but we keep going to him. I don't know. I really don't. But something's not working. Something's not right. Joseph Gonzalez hasn't been himself all year. All year. Chase also, it just hasn't been there. It hasn't been there. Keeps giving up hard contact after hard contact after hard contact. This pitching staff will get a guy 0-2 and hit him or throw 4 consecutive balls. Not even competitive near the strike zone. I don't know what it is, and I'm not going to put it on the players. Because obviously it's coaching. Because you've gotten worse in that department. You've gotten worse. This is not SEC pitching. It's not competitive. We're giving up almost 20 runs against Tennessee in the last 2 games. You give up 19 and 12. Come on, folks. That's not a recipe to win in this league. It's not. It's not. And then we can look at Alabama State Let's move to Alabama State and talk about how embarrassing that was. How embarrassing the loss to Alabama State was. Auburn should never lose to Alabama State. I don't care if it's the game of baseball and it's weird, it's funny. I don't care. Should never lose to Alabama State. Not with that lineup you got. I don't care if Ike Irish and Bobby Pierce didn't play. There's still enough talent on that roster to beat Alabama State. You look fooled in the box. Took awful at bats. Terrible. Looked non-competitive. Looked like you didn't even want to be there. Pitching showed up. Everybody wants to throw the Alabama State thing. You want to throw it on pitching. We only gave up 3 runs. With this lineup, we should have put 10, 11, 12. We should have ended the game in 7 against Alabama State. Where are the dogs at? Where are the dogs at? Because this ain't the same team that I've watched, that I was at in Jacksonville to watch play Virginia in the championship of that tournament. This ain't the same team. It's not. It's not. There's no life in the dugout. Alabama State fired up to be there. They were so ready to play at Plainsman Park the other night, they could taste it. You look in our dugout, dead. Dead. No life. None. None. Just looked like guys didn't even want to be there. I'll never question Butch because I think he's the greatest thing to ever happen to Auburn baseball. And to hear people come out and say, hey, Butch is on the hot seat. Butch needs to go. We need a new direction. We do not need a new direction for Auburn baseball, folks. Look, that eventually is going to get old to him. And he's going to up and leave one day if we keep doing it. Because I can tell you another program that's about to experience something right now. And that's the Kentucky Wildcats in basketball. All this time, Coach Cal ain't it. Coach Cal ain't it. All right, do I think he's lived up to expectations? No, I don't. Do I think the marriage needed to end? Yeah, I do. But now, you've wanted all of this. Hey, get going, get going, get going. Well, now he leaves and goes to a conference foe. Goes to Arkansas. He's going to kill it at Arkansas. He's going to bring recruit after recruit after recruit in. We got to sit here and see who Kentucky gets. Are you going to get Scott Drew? Are you going to get him? How is that going to go? Is he going to bring the athletes in that Coach Cal brought in? Are you going to be just as competitive? Are you going to be that team that everybody fears like they once did with Coach Cal? Who knows? My point is what if you scare a Butch Thompson to Ole Miss? Mike Bianco, they're losing again. He's probably on the hot seat. Ole Miss isn't going to sit there and be terrible. Would he go to Ole Miss? I don't know. I know he's a lover of Mississippi State. He was there with John Cohen and all of this stuff. But I'm just saying, slow your roll on the Butch Thompson is on the hot seat stuff, because that can run a coach smooth out of town. And the last thing you want is him to go to a conference foe. The last thing you want is that. It should never be brought up. The man has put us in Omaha twice now. And we were at the bottom of the barrel when he come to town. We were at the bottom of the barrel. I don't know if you ever watched the Sonny Galloway days. We were at the bottom of the barrel, folks. Kids didn't even want to play for that man. And Butch comes in here and flips the program upside down. We got guys playing in the major leagues, rising stars playing in all-star games and everything. No. Has it been there this year? No, it has not. Do I think something needs to change? Yes, I do. Do I think it's the pitching coach? Yes, I don't think it's working. I don't. Could it be recruiting? I don't know. Probably. I know the lotto and everybody brings that up. I get it. All right, we're behind. Yes, we need a lottery. The state of Alabama needs a lottery. It does. It does. We are so far behind. We can talk about we're behind as a state, but it puts us behind in athletics on the baseball side of things. because we don't have the money to compete. If you're familiar with the state of Florida, go look at the Star Scholarship program that they have. They're ahead of us. They're ahead of us. They're allowed to offer things that we're not. We got to split scholarships where they can give full rides. So we're behind. If it wasn't for NIL, we would probably still, we would still be even further behind. Butch talked about with Mike G in a episode before the season started. NIL is what gets guys there, and they're trying to collectively build it for the baseball program. And yeah, we need a lottery, and it hurts recruiting, but we've had nice recruiting classes. I know somebody was in my Twitter mentions the other day and saying, hey, why don't we go after these perfect game guys and everything like that? Folks, Drew Nelson was the 4th player in the state of Alabama coming out of his class. He was a perfect game guy. He was highly rated. He was going to the camps and playing in the perfect game leagues and all of that stuff. It just hasn't been there. You look at the perfect game recruiting classes, we're bringing them in. Auburn's there. Now, I know at one point last year they were in the number 2 ranked class, but after a couple guys decided to go to the draft and everything, it dropped to like number 15, 16, somewhere in there. But still, you're in the top 20, top 25 in recruiting. I don't know what the problem is, but look, we can sit here and we can throw it on the pitching because I do think that's a major issue. But let's also throw some things on the defense. Let's throw it on the defense and how many miscues we've had on defense. How many double plays we haven't turned to get out of innings to help our pitching. It's rough. It's rough. That big inning at Vandy, we roll that double play there. We get out of that. That helps Chase Alsop. Probably helps him a little mentally too. We don't turn it. They end up capitalizing and scoring more runs off of it. Things like that hurt. Things like that hurt. It hurts. Missing cuts. Not being able to make a throw to first base. That's still mind-boggling to me. I don't get that. It brings up Omaha vibes. Edward Julian. That still hurts. It's just, I guess that's the curse of being an Auburn fan, as my guy David Bacon always says on Twitter. It's rough. It's rough. And to lose to Alabama State, and I get on social media and I'm like, man, I have to do this. Like, I have to get on here and express how I feel because I love these dudes. I love Auburn baseball. I put Auburn baseball in front of my own family sometimes. That is how much I love these cats, and I'll be tuned in tonight. But I got to get on Twitter and see our fan base saying, well, at least Alabama lost to South. Stop. It's not comparable. It's not. We lost to Alabama State, a SWAC school that cannot, you want to talk about recruiting, they can't recruit with you, they can't pay as much as you, nothing. They don't have the same caliber of athletes, nothing. You should never lose to Alabama State. And it just looked like Auburn didn't want to be there the other night. It looked like they walked in there, oh, this is Alabama State, we're better than them. And they got smacked. Now, another place I'll go is I'm tired of hearing about the scheduling. Well, we had Vanderbilt, then we had Arkansas, and then we had Tennessee come to town, and all of this. We've had to go to Texas A&M, and we got this, and this. Guys, it don't get easier. It don't get easier. Everybody in the SEC has this schedule. The SEC is a gauntlet. Missouri just swept Florida. Everybody has this schedule. It's a gauntlet. It don't get easier. And then people want to reply to me on Twitter and say, well, we can sweep Missouri. We can sweep Ole Miss. We're not sweeping anybody. All right? Like, stop. It's just, it doesn't get easier. Could it happen? Yeah, but we got to play a lot better baseball. We got to put a complete game together. We haven't done it yet. I think the first game against Tennessee was probably the best game we've played all year. But right now, folks, we're not sweeping anybody. We're not sweeping Ole Miss. We're not sweeping Missouri. I don't care how bad they are. We're going to find a way to lose a game right now. And I hate being so negative because, like I said, I love these cats. But we're just not playing good baseball right now. And it's not because of the scheduling, because you had your opportunities against Arkansas. You could have swept Arkansas. You lost the Friday night game 1-0. You lost game 2, 6-5. And you won game 3. I don't care if we were facing Hagen Smith. You had opportunities with runners in scoring position to come up with a clutch hit, make an impact on the game, and we couldn't do it. We couldn't do it. We couldn't do it. So I'm tired of hearing about the scheduling. Texas A&M. We had an opportunity to take a game against Texas A&M. We took them into extra innings. Ben Shore was out there fighting for his life. I thought he did a great job. They just hit. We didn't. They hit and we didn't. That's how frustrating it's been. We've had so many games. We just needed a 2-out knock. We just needed a 2-out knock. And we can win one of those close games. Or we just needed one of those double plays in the middle. Just roll a double play and we get out of an inning. And it helps us get off the field. It helps our pitching staff. And we can't come up with it. And it leads to runs. And before you know it, we're down and out. We're having to fight back. Cooper McMurray, thank you for your services, brother. Mason Mainers, thank you for your services for keeping us in these types of games. The long ball. Christian Hall, I don't think should ever lead the lineup, folks. That's just me. There's a lot of things. Let's dive right into this. The 3600th lineup is probably coming here in a few hours, where you're going to see guys in and out of the lineup. K. Ballou should never leave the lineup. He shouldn't. Christian Hall should never leave the lineup. I don't care what matchups we face. I don't care if it's left on left. He should never leave the lineup. He can change the game with one swing. Period. Now, I know people are hurt. I know Caden Green, it looked like the other night when they panned on the TV, he was in a sling. But there's some guys, Gavin Miller, there's some guys that should be in there. Gavin Miller should be in there. It's frustrating. Derek Fabian. That was my thing at the beginning of the year. I felt like it should have been Gavin Miller at third, Cooper Weiss at short, Derek Fabian at second, with Coop at first, Ike behind the plate, whoever on the bump, Mason in left, Stanfield in center, and Bobby in right. And then DH, we were hearing a lot out of, Cole Edwards. We were hearing a lot out of Cade, Christian Hall, whatever. All right. I felt like that should have been the starting infield at the beginning of the year. My point here is we have made it into halfway into the SEC, and we still don't know what lineup we're throwing out. We still don't have a set infield or outfield or anything. Nothing. Nothing said. We don't know. It's going to change game to game. We don't know. I don't get it. I don't. I know injuries happen, and the other night against Alabama State, I understand that one. I get that one. But guys have stepped up in this season, and they've hit when others hadn't, and we still find them outside of the lineup. Then even when they pitch hit, they come in and make something happen. So let's get those guys in the lineup. And let's keep them there. It's aggravating. It's aggravating because I think this team is better than what they're giving us right now. I don't know if there's division in the clubhouse or what. But they're better. They're better than what they're showing us. I saw it in the fall in Biloxi when I went and watched them. They're better than this, man. They're better than 2-10 in the SEC. And I did say the season was over. Prove me wrong, damn it. Prove me wrong. This weekend, you got Kentucky. Before we close it out, I'll hop in here, get me a sip of coffee like I did just a minute ago. Hey, the Perry Thompson Cup. Go check out his NIL shop. The link should be in his bio and all that good stuff. Perry Thompson, he's got some shirts. If you want to get your kids something, whatever, he's got all kind of stuff over there. Go check it out. Got Kentucky this weekend. I jotted some things down. They're 27-5 on the year. Their RPI's at 5. Their strength of schedule is at 30. They're 9-1 away from home. Obviously coming to Plainsman this weekend. They did lose to Samford in the midweek, but let's stop right here. Everybody's like, oh, well, Kentucky lost to Samford. We lost to Alabama State. And let's not sit here and act like Samford's not a damn good baseball club. We just had them in our regional last year. They're solid. They can beat anybody in the country. So, they did lose to Samford in the midweek. One thing here, I'll start on offense for Kentucky. I jotted some things down. 287 team average. That's 103rd in the country. They got a 417 OBP. That is 46th best in the country. And they got a 471 slugging percentage for 87th best in the country. So, offensively, are they going to put up the runs that Tennessee put up? They're 103rd offensively in the country. I think that could fare in Auburn's favor, looking at it on the outside, looking in at this series. But one thing that does bother me is let's go to the pitching side of things for Kentucky. They have a 3.69 ERA that is 9th best in the country. Damn good bullpen, damn good starters. They got a 1.16 whip, which is 5th best in the country, folks. They don't allow a lot of people on base. 5th best in the country. That scares me looking at this pitching staff because we just couldn't hit Alabama State the other night. So, Kentucky brings the juice on the bump. Looks like they don't give up a lot of runs. Now, I'll give you some guys to look out for in Kentucky's lineup. Nick Lopez, the DH, hitting 396 with a 449 OBP with a 1.052 OPS. Man, he's got that thing in the thousands. That OPS, that's impressive from Nick Lopez. The Petrie kid at 2B, he's got a 331 batting average, a 434 OBP, and a 983 OPS. Grant Smith, their shortstop, got a 316 batting average, a 422 OBP, and an 883 OPS. And then the highly touted MLB prospect, Ryan Waldschmidt, has a 301 batting average, playing left field with a 472 OBP and a 934 OPS. So, there's 4 guys right there. I think those are the only 4 guys in their lineup that are hitting over 300. I think everybody else is around that 250 range. They got a couple guys that are 270, 280. But look, this team, they take great ABs. When I was on 11.7 looking through the stats and everything, they like to walk. They like to grind out at bats. They don't strike out a lot. Not a lot of guys that get up there and they're swinging at junk. So if Auburn wants to come into this series and have an opportunity, we got to pitch well. I know that's asking a lot. We got to pitch well. We got to throw strikes when we get guys 0-2. We can't be hitting people or throwing 4 straight uncompetitive pitches. Not even close to the strike zone. We have to be almost perfect on the bump this weekend, in my opinion. We also got to attack their pitching staff because they're going to throw strikes. They don't walk a lot of people. They don't give up a lot of runs. They don't let a lot of people on base. So we got to attack their staff We got to be aggressive in the box. We got to put up runs. So the two things that we got to do, we got to score. Obviously, got to have our guys keep hitting the long ball. And we got to pitch well. That last one is the one that scares me. So, 2-10 in SEC play. You got to figure something out this weekend. In all honesty, you got to take 2 out of 3 from Kentucky. You got to take 2 out of 3. I would say sweep, get to that 5-10 mark, but I'll take 4-11. There's still some room for movement there. But looking at the rest of the schedule, you go to Mississippi State at the Dude. That's extremely tough. They're better than what we thought. You got at Baton Rouge. That's not an easy place to play. I don't care what they're playing like right now. The box is extremely tough. You know, I know you still got Ole Miss, Mizzou, and Alabama on there, but this is a hole we got to dig out of, and it starts tonight at 6:30 on ESPNU. So good luck to this baseball team. I will be tuned in, y'all. I'm not giving up on this team. I know this was a down episode. It was aggravating to sit here and talk so negatively about this Auburn baseball team. I do love these cats. I love the whole program. I think the world of Auburn baseball, it's my passion. And I think what hurts the most about all of this is I'm contacted by another SEC pod. And they're like, "Hey, let's do an Auburn breakdown. You know, let's break down the series between Tennessee and Auburn." So I go on the Vols Fanatic show, and they're asking me these questions, and I'm sitting here and I'm just spitting off the facts. And you know, Skyler looks at me and he's like, "Hey, man, let's get off the negativity and get on to something positive." And I'm like, "What's been positive? We're 1-8 in the SEC right now going in to play you guys. So what's been positive?" And that was kind of my mindset, is it hasn't been the year that I was expecting when I watched this team in the fall, when I watched this team in Jacksonville go toe-to-toe with an elite baseball program, an elite baseball powerhouse in Virginia. That's even though we lost that game 6-4, that is when I really looked at this team and said, "Hey, I'm not walking out of this stadium with my head held down and me slumped over, pissed off that we lost, because we just went toe-to-toe with the team that's going to be fighting to get to Omaha." That's why I say this ain't the same team. That's why this season is a struggle. That's why it hurts to talk about. So, tonight, like I said, 6:30 ESPNU, 6:30 p.m. Central, I should say, for those of you on the East Coast or Mountain Time or Pacific, you know, wherever you're watching. We appreciate each and every one of you. Myself and Dustin, I think Dustin gets back in town, so a lot has happened on the football side of things. I think he gets back in town today, if I got that correctly. So I'm not sure when we'll do a live, but it'll be either tonight or tomorrow, one of those 2 days. So we'll make sure to throw out a little teaser on Twitter and everything and let you guys know when we're doing that. So thank you for joining me. War Damn Eagle. Let's go win a baseball series. Turn the season around. Even if we don't make the postseason, let's make a run and get excited for next year. Let's get a little positivity in here. See y'all. Peace.